Hey everyone, Anne O'Connell with OC Publishing here, and welcome to the author journey. And it's an exciting day today. It is party time. And you know what that means? It means that we are celebrating the imminent launch of a new book. And this new book is very special. It's actually, we regularly publish YA, but this one is our first YA dystopian novel, and it's by J.D. Grant. It's called Flowers for Gaia. Look how gorgeous is that. It's such a beautiful book. Of course, it's brilliantly written as well. And what I also love about celebrating the launch of a book is that we often have other team members from the development and the process. And today we not only have the author, but we also have associate publisher and project manager and editor for Flowers for Gaia, Marianne Ward, with us. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about the author, and then I'm going to bring everybody in to join in the celebration. So it's by J.D. Grant. J.D. John David Grant is a lifelong fan, I don't know where my words are today, of science fiction, fantasy, and the paranormal, be it in books, cartoons, movies, video games, or comics. A 40-year career working in healthcare as a medical officer in the Canadian Air Force in Portage la Prairie, Manitoba, a general practitioner in Cape Breton, Nova Scotia, a pediatrician in both Sydney, Nova Scotia, and Kentville, Nova Scotia, and a pediatric emergency physician at the IWK Health Centre in Halifax. It predates his second career as a writer and novelist. Flowers for Gaia is his first published novel, but others are en route, which really makes me excited. Creating a fantasy world and a meaningful story filled with characters that breathe is both a daunting and thrilling undertaking, says John. Being able to share this with readers is even more amazing. John and his wife live in the beautiful Annapolis Valley of Nova Scotia. So let's bring John and Mary Ann up to join me.
Jazz hands.
Yay! So exciting. Yeah. I like the party hat on, but you don't have to send them to everybody so we can all wear them. Congratulations, John. Very exciting.
Well, thank you very much. I've had some very good helpers.
It's been a fun process, and like I said in the introduction, this is our first sort of foray into speculative fiction, and it's been quite joyous. I mean, John, thank you for bringing this to us.
Well, thank you for helping grow it, and so here it is. Thank you.
Here it is. In 4 more days, we launch on May 9th. If you're watching today, our live broadcast, May 5th, we've got 4 days to go. So how does that feel, John? Does it feel real yet?
It's getting there.
Yeah.
It does feel real. It feels real, but it still feels surreal at the same time.
Yeah.
So once I get through the book launch and everything goes, is not through it. Once I experience the book launch, I will be very happy to move on to, I don't know, trying to write something else, I guess, and keep going with sales
and get the word out. Yes. Well, you know what? There's a lot of firsts when it's your debut novel. And so I'm very happy to hear that, it hasn't scared you away and that you are actually working on number 2. Marianne, what was, when you first got your hands on this manuscript, what were your thoughts?
Well, you might remember, Anne, that it actually, John submitted it to OC Publishing through our submissions portal. So you asked me to review the submission, which would have just been an excerpt. But I remember immediately feeling captivated by the story. It's exceptionally strong. And the fact that it also has this strong environmental message meant that I was all in, like right from the get-go. I was excited to approach John about, yes, please send us the manuscript. We would love to. And Yeah, no, just excitement from day one. And, you know, such a rich story. When you're in the process of editing, you read the story over and over and over again. It evolves, it changes, you know, we read draft after draft, and I never tired of it. It's just marvelous.
Oh, that's wonderful. And that is a joy. And John, you know, I hope that that brings you, makes you feel good, because, I mean, most projects we take on, that's our hope. Because, you know, we're a small team. We want to really love and be passionate about the books that we bring on board. So when it really does continue, when that passion and excitement continues through the whole process, because it can be a long process. So how has it felt for you, John, like throughout?
I have to say, working with Marianne was a very good experience. She had some good ideas. She pointed out different areas that needed improvement, different structuring. It was all very positive, and I think the back and forth through the multiple editings, I think it really made for a much stronger story. So I thank her for that.
Oh, that's wonderful. Really appreciate it. So tell us where the idea of Flowers for Gaia came from, and the main character, Calyx. Give us a little synopsis of what the book's about and where the idea came from and why you felt you needed to write it.
Well, you already mentioned that my background is one of being a reader, and I've always enjoyed the idea that telling a story, you're not just entertaining, but you're teaching. And that type of scenario has always captured my imagination. And some of the books that I read as a teenager and then as a younger man, they still are with me. And the imaginations of those authors has, I think, expanded the scope of my thinking. And they've given me new experiences. I've met new people. I've traveled to other planets. I always thought that if you know, I enjoy it so much, perhaps I can contribute something to it. And so I've dabbled with writing since my early 20s.
Wow. And I love that, you know, that's the beauty of reading and books, is you can travel to other places. And you said travel to other planets. So who were some of the authors and books that inspired you?
Well, the early books were by, let me see now, Isaac Asimov. When I was a teenager, he wrote many different books. What was the trilogy called?
The Foundation series.
Yeah, that was really good. And George Herbert, he wrote Dune. And then there's just so many. Even some of the books that my kids have read, my grandkids have read. I just inhale the stories. You know, I don't always remember even who wrote it, but the adventure and the thinking and the ideas, I think, are what captivate me.
Yeah, and you've chosen some pretty hefty themes, and you know, we're in the future, and Earth is, you know, in dire straits, and you've also developed this great rapport with the Ecology Action Center. How did that come about? And I'm just going to bring up their website as well, because you know, it's a hot topic, and climate change. No, sorry. How did that come about, and why are you keen to support their programs?
The writing is as you say, it's a second career, and it's a story that I think has a couple of different components. It's an adventure story, but it's also a teaching story. It looks at many of the different problems that are occurring in our world as we live.
Mm-hmm.
Pollution and plastics and climate change. It's everywhere and it's in the news. But teaching or talking to young people about this in a way that's less scary, I think is best accomplished through a fantasy story set in the future, not in the close future, but in the far future. And that way they can look at these concepts and can try and understand them and maybe relate them to their current life. Marianne helped as far as with Ecology Action Center goes. I wanted to partner with a youth group to help them raise perhaps funds for the activities that they wanted to do, and also to increase exposure for the book. I think it's sort of a win-win scenario. And
for sure.
Marianne has I don't know, several million friends, and some of them work.
Contacts.
Some of them are associated with the Ecology Action Center. And when we were looking at youth programs, they have a youth program that sort of mirrors many of the different issues that the book brings to light. And it just seemed like a natural partnership, and thankfully and nicely that they agreed to allow us to use their insignia on the book, and so I think it will work very well.
Yes, and you're donating your royalty to the Ecology Action Center youth programs. Marianne, what does that mean to you when we can do these kind of partnerships?
I guess it's only as you ask that I think it's kind of walking the talk. Here's this beautiful story that John has created, accessible to youth, written for young people. A hopeful story, but with a backdrop of climate catastrophe. But it's the young people banding together and tapping into deep teachings and understandings about sustainable living, who are the heroes of this book. So to partner with the Ecology Action Center and specifically their youth programming just makes sense. Here's a way to perfectly match the content of the book, the message of the book. And, I feel like I want to preface, I agree with you, John. I love reading books that I learn from. This is first and foremost a grand tale, right? It's a rollicking adventure. It's not a teachy book. It's not.
Oh no, it's not.
That is secondary. But to match that with a group that is doing the kind of work that the young heroes of this book are doing,
oh, absolutely. And I can picture the characters and Calyx especially like in an anime series. Do you know what I mean? Like, and that would be really cool because of their very unique and colorful features.
It's so interesting you say that, Anne, because when John first sent me the full manuscript, on the title page was an illustration he had done of Calyx with these big like that kind of anime style with his spiky yellow hair and big green eyes, and I think John was already picturing it as an anime adapted film. It easily could be. Absolutely.
Oh, John, you have to send me that image because we can use it during the promotions and stuff. We're always like helping people to visualize scenarios and characters. I think is really, really fun. Did you have a soundtrack that you listened to like while you were writing or as inspiration? That seems to be really popular these days with authors.
No, when I write, I often will listen to background what's it called? No, not word music. Just
classical,
instrumental
music,
atmospheric music.
I listen to that. Yeah, but the story. Yes, there is a teaching element to it, but it's mostly fun, as you say. There's magic in it. Each of the characters has genetically endowed abilities where they can influence the elements that are within our world, and whether it's earth magic or water magic or air magic or spirit magic. And there's one more.
Fire.
Fire.
Earth,
Fire
Yeah.
magic.
fire, water.
Yeah.
And these magics are determined by their genetic makeup, but it's also triggered by a catalyst flower that these people have to ingest in order to, I guess, release the energy that Gaia is transmitting through them. And so
I
for
love that.
earth magic, it's the common dandelion, which is a hardy little flower with many different medicinal. Yes. And for the others, for fire element, it's red rose. For water, it's the water lily. For air, it's the anemone, which is also known as the windflower. And then for spirits, it's a poisonous little flower that is a very beautiful little flower, Jimson weed. But in most people, it would cause hallucinations and illness. But in the book, it actually promotes being able to understand and talk with people just using
That's so cool.
the mind. Yeah.
Yes. I was walking in my friend's garden just a couple days ago, and we always do a walk, and she points out the flowers, and she says, and oh, look, my anemones are coming out. I'm like, oh, anemones. I said, I never heard of them until Flowers for Gaia, right? So I saw an actual anemone, and not the one Nemo lives in. So John, would you do us the honor of reading a little excerpt
I'd
from
be
your book?
very happy to.
Thank you. I'm going to solo you.
So I'm going to start with at the beginning of the book, the main character, Calyx, is talking, and here we go. I had no idea how I arrived in that dark, smelly alley running between a general store and a saloon. My stomach was aching from hunger, and I was very lonely sitting there in the dirt, and very tired. The clothes I wore, cut-off shorts and a green and yellow striped t-shirt, were full of holes and covered in stains. My bare feet were tanned and calloused. It was a moonless night, and all was quiet. The sky was filled with twinkling stars. The ground beneath me was dirt, no grass, just sand and rock, not the best surface to be crawling on. I cracked my fingernails and scraped my knees, searching that alley for food, competing as I was with a family of mice. In a wooden bin next to a side door of the saloon, I found some discarded food scraps. I couldn't see exactly what it was, but it didn't matter. I sniffed what my fingers found and without another thought, put it in my mouth. Not the best decision. Gnawing on that piece of half-eaten hardened sandwich not only reminded my body how hungry it was, it brought on nausea and awful cramps. After a few minutes of retching and spitting up, I dragged myself behind the bin and curled up in a ball, too weak to stand and too tired to even care. As sleep beckoned, my awareness was slipping away. I heard a voice, a female voice in my head, calling my name. Calyx, I am with you, always. At that time, I was not sure if the voice was a memory or just in my overactive imagination, but I do remember drawing some comfort from the message as I drifted off. Next thing I knew, that same musical voice was telling me to open my eyes. When I did, I saw that the sky was starting to brighten. Who are you? I asked inside my head. A friend and mother. I lifted my head to survey my alley in the morning light. Directly in front of me, next to the saloon's wall, I could make out a clump of pretty yellow flowers sticking out of the dirt. Dandelions, my voice said. There was no other greenery in sight, not even a blade of grass. Eat them. Everything, the flowers, the leaves, stems, and even the roots. Lying on my belly, I stretched out and plucked a cluster of 3 flowers from the ground. Only one of the roots pulled free. When I touched the soft petals, flecks of pollen coated the tips of my fingers. The whitish sap that coated the leaves and that singular root made my hands all sticky. I licked each finger clean before I wiped dirt off the root, and then did as I was told and ate the dandelions in their entirety, savoring the slightly bitter taste in the juices. As I chewed those yellow flowers, leaves, and roots, I closed my eyes and fully enjoyed the richness of the plant's texture and taste. Place your hands flat on the ground, Calyx. Breathe deeply and extend your awareness. You need nourishment. It was like dreaming, though I don't think I was asleep. My fingers felt like they took root and sent shoots off into the ground, looking for water and food. All the while, the voice kept up a monologue of instructions. That mound of organic matter has calories and vitamins. Go deeper and draw in the micronutrients you need: iron, zinc, manganese. Here is some clean, fresh water. I don't know how long this went on for, the instructions and the searching, but when the toe of a boot pushed against my arm and roused me, I was feeling a bit better. I think that's good for now.
Oh, that's great. And you know what? It's enough to draw people into the story and then go, wait, what? Who's kicking him? That's wonderful. How did you find the writing process? Like, did things come to you in waves, or once you start writing, does it flow? Do you plot out from beginning to end? What does that look like for you?
Well, I kind of had an idea of what type of story I wanted to write, but I needed to develop a magic system, and I needed to do some world building. Mm-hmm. So I wanted a consistent magic that had rules, that I think people would find interesting and imaginative. Once I had that, and I had the background of climate change and climate issues, it was kind of finding the characters, and Calyx just appeared.
And I love that.
And it was I suppose there's two different types of writing, isn't there? I mean, you can plan everything, or you can just follow the flow. This was sort of semi-planned with a skeleton, but then everything filled in as a flow. And then once Marianne came on board, we recognized that there were certain elements missing, and so things had to be layered on top to enrich the story. As I mentioned before to you, I think in my professional career, I used to write articles that were factually based and very dry. And in writing this book, I had to really tap into resources so that I could develop characters that were believable, that had emotions that people could feel, and a story that, I don't know, that made you want to read the next page. And so that took effort. It did, and it took editing, and it took rewriting, and it took Marianne's guidance, and I think it turned out very well, though.
Well, just listening to you speak, you have a natural affinity to the process. I mean, what are your thoughts, Marianne, on this, working with John? And
well, here's it's very rewarding as an editor to work with a writer who really wants to learn, who really cares about the craft of writing, what makes a story stronger, who's eager to kind of dig in. John was never once put off by my suggestions of, like, I think maybe we need to go a little deeper here, or what about trying this? He would jump enthusiastically into the suggestions and come up with material that would make the story stronger. So, it's that kind of an approach to the craft and the process of editing that results in strong stories.
And I think you were motivated, right, when you decided that you wanted to write this story. And I don't know what the time frame was, but OC Publishing did like a series, like a 4 Saturdays in a row series, of writing fiction and creative nonfiction. And you signed up for all 4. And you were there, and you jumped in. You're like, I don't know if what I have is like, at what point in your thought process were you when you started those sessions?
Well, I retired from my old job, I suppose, when COVID reared its ugly head. And at that point in time, it took about 9 months to a year for me to come up with this story. I just felt like I needed to spend my time doing something creative. And at the end, that story really wasn't written very well at all. It really wasn't. And so I toyed with it. I talked with you about it. Then I rewrote it. I tore it apart. I put it back together again. And I knew the idea was good, but yeah. So it wasn't. It was like about the 5th edition that Marianne got to read, and then we went through about 5 more rounds of editing since then. So yeah, no, it was about a 5-year process, actually.
Yeah. And I love that because, nothing happens overnight. There is effort that needs to be put into it, and it really is a team. And I also, when we mention team, I also want to give a shout out to our designer for this project, David Edelstein, who wasn't able to join us today, but there he is, so he can be with us briefly. And it's really important, I think, and oftentimes a lot of our viewers are authors, or want to understand the process better. When you look at the team that comes together, John, that came together for Flowers for Gaia, what would you say to other authors? Like, how important is that to draw like on the expertise of people who have the knowledge?
I continuously, let me see now. When I write something, I think I tend to overvalue how good it is, and getting an opinion from people who are readers and who know the business and who can help with the process, it was absolutely invaluable. I could have gone to a self-publishing mode, but I would not have gotten the richness of experience that you, Anne, and you, Marianne, and David all provided. You've made this not just my project, but your project, and it's a better project because of that. So yeah, no, I think it's very important to surround yourself with the right people, and people that you can work with, not people whom you feel resentful to or irritated by or bothered with, but no, some nice people who love their work, and you guys, certainly love your work. So.
Oh, for sure. And we say it all the time, it's your baby that you're handing over, and the editing process is very personal, and you're being very vulnerable. And Marianne, you would be able to speak to this better. Like, you need that rapport, right?
Oh, it's absolutely essential. You can get nowhere unless there's fundamental trust and respect on both sides, right?
Yes.
And I feel that John and I found that immediately. It was there from the get-go. That's not always the case, unfortunately, but hopefully it gets there through the course of the backing and forthing. So yeah, no, and that also sets the tone, right? When that's a pleasant experience, then there's good feelings all around, and you're excited to bring in the next people who are going to help realize it. It was fun working with David, wasn't it? And exploring cover ideas and how are we going to make that happen? And so yeah, no, and you're all too right to point out, and to people who do watch the author journey, it is ideally a team effort. There are people, one of them is a good friend. You've interviewed her on the show, Brenda Tidemares, who has done a great job of self-publishing, doing it on her own, but also finding help where she needed it. And so, not to diss doing it on your own.
No, no.
If you have those skills, that's
Yeah.
Go for it, 100%. But
Yeah.
there's something about working with a team that's also.
Yes. I consider her like an OCP author too, because
a friend of OCP.
Yeah, I did some coaching with her.
Yeah.
You were her editor.
Yeah.
I think it's a wonderful thing. I want to give a shout out to the folks who are watching. Lana Shute just joined us. Hi, Lana from Calgary. She said, I think this read is so very important. And that is so very true. And she's written a little bit of fantastical literature herself. So we're already, believe it or not, at the 30-minute mark. I want to make sure that we talk about where people can get the book. And I always like to, of course, support our local indie bookstores. And so our wonderful Woozles has it available for pre-order. They did have some in store. It's sold out, but they will have more because I'll be hand delivering them myself. So if you're in the HRM area and you want to pre-order, please support your local indie bookstores. And of course, on all of the other, online platforms that you typically will think about ordering from. I also would like to encourage you to have a look. We are starting the virtual book tour for Flowers for Gaia, and we have there it is. We have the lineup on the blog, my blog, Anne Writing Just Because, and look at all these wonderful bloggers and reviewers that have joined. So make sure you go and we'll be posting the reviews as they come on board. And also make sure you support your local charities. And as we said before, John and Marianne have brought Ecology Action Center on board as one of our collaborators, and that will benefit from some of John's royalty. He'll be donating that to them. So any last words, John, before we wrap up? I'll raise a toast. Cheers, my sparkly water here.
My tea.
Your new book. You're one of many to come, let's hope.
It's been a process that I have learned I've learned a lot from. The actual editing process and going through all of it was, I think, very worthwhile. And yeah, so thank you both.
Well, we're looking forward to the launch party, right, Marianne?
Oh, I can't wait for people to discover this book. And I'll just say, yes, YA. Anyone can enjoy this book.
Yes.
It's a book that adults will love as well. Yeah.
Yes.
And
that's one of our early. I'm just going to add go ahead
quickly that we chose the date deliberately to line up with Mother's Day, Flowers for Gaia, the Earth Mother. So, think about getting it for your mom.
Good idea. Oh, I love that. And that one of our early reviewers, Mary Lanny, who's also a youth librarian, said that as well, Marianne. Like, it's YA and above.
Yeah.
So, I thoroughly enjoyed it. And John, congratulations again on the imminent launch of Flowers for Gaia. It's a beautiful book. It's so nice and shiny. It's one of those, I hug books. I don't know about you guys, but thank you so much, guys, for joining me on the author journey today, and for this wonderful book that we're so proud of.
Thank you very much,
John.
Yay! And thank you all for joining us on the author journey today. I'm Anne O'Connell with OC Publishing. We are celebrating the launch coming up on May 9th of Flowers for Gaia by J.D. Grant. Hopefully you're pre-ordering from Woozles or any other online bookstore that you like to order your books from, or order it at your local indie bookstore. So for now, I'll say goodbye, and we will see you next time on the author journey. See you soon.